Hello there everybody, this is your reaction channel Speckblocklime here with another reaction video for all of you today. Now the video we're going to do today I think is from the channel MrBallen. The video is titled They Found the Camera in the Jungle. The Kris Kremers? If I butcher the name, I'm sorry, Kremers. And Lisanne Froon story. Maybe MrBallen will say it correctly in the video, or someone, will say it correctly. I will try my best. But I will try to give respect if I can. I won't try to say it wrong if I can. But, this seems like an interesting story. I think I might have checked something out about it on another video or something. My memory is so-so. Sometimes I remember things, sometimes I don't. And this story seems like I might have heard it somewhere, maybe watched another video at some point. But anyway, it'll be interesting to see how MrBallen says it. If not, either I'll get a reminder, or it'll be new to me. Well, let's get on to the video. Here we go.
But it's the state that the remains were found in, and some of the other things that were found in conjunction with these remains that raise a lot of questions. Hey, what's going on, guys? MrBallen here. You probably know me from TikTok, where I am known for telling scary stories and talking about unsolved mysteries and true crime.
Yeah.
If you are not coming from TikTok, and I'm starting to see a trend that actually a lot of people are just finding me on YouTube, which is really cool. I was a Navy SEAL for a couple of years. I was actually medically retired in 2017.
Okay.
And I started making
I think in some videos
about my military experience.
He doesn't talk too much about it, but I think in the early stuff right now he might be saying it.
The early part of this year, and at some point I just wanted to try something new and wanted to try a different content style. So I posted about an unsolved mystery, which is the Dyatlov Pass incident. It's about a bunch of hikers that disappeared in the mountains of
that video.
Russia, and no one really knows why. And it takes off, and it's something that I just am really interested in. I think unsolved mysteries are fascinating.
I just want to say this quick. If you guys want to watch the original, go check out. And if you don't want to hear me talking over it, go watch that one. This is what reaction channels do. We're gonna either, some of us, pause in the middle. Some of us just pause out of nowhere. Long pauses. Like I said, if you want to watch the original, go watch the original.
I can tell longer versions of these stories and get a little bit more.
If you want to skip through things that I'm talking about, then you can go ahead. But that's it.
One of these types of videos on YouTube a week, and I hope that you will subscribe and you will follow along, because right now my YouTube skills are very low. Admittedly, I'm pretty good at TikTok. I'm pretty bad at YouTube, but I'm going to get better. I would also love it if you guys have suggestions.
I think at some point he gets better. I mean, he has a whole bunch of videos and a good amount of views on stuff by now.
On Instagram, my handle is JohnBAllen416. So JohnBallen416. Shoot me a DM, and I'd love to hear your feedback. So today we're going to talk about one of the more well-known unsolved mysteries, and it is the very strange disappearance of two college students from the Netherlands who go to Panama, and they saved up all this money to go on this trip. Like, they were working in a cafe for the 6 months leading up to this trip that they were going to finance mostly themselves. They had mapped out all these different places they're going to go in Panama. It was going to be like part vacation, part like mission trip, where they were going to be helping out with different charities in the different villages they go to, but also enjoying the travel. These girls were very close. They were highly intelligent.
All right.
Just wonderful, smart people. And they were really excited about this trip. And they go to Panama. And the first couple weeks go without incident. And at some
Which is good.
point, things take a very significant turn for the worst. And so let's dive in. On March 15th, 2014, Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon, who were both Dutch college students, head to Panama for a 6-week-long part vacation, part charitable giving trip. They had mapped out these 6 weeks really diligently. They planned to do lots of traveling and exploring, and then also they were going to be working with different charities along the way as they went all over Panama.
If they want to do, that's fine. Vacation and helping around.
To raise additional money for this trip. So March 15th, they arrive in Panama. The first 2 weeks they're there go beautifully. They do some traveling, they're working with different charities, and everything is going to plan. And then by the second week, they arrive in a little town called Phuket. and they stay at this hostel. So that's like a group
In
living
case,
situation.
depending on certain videos, if you don't hear me talk too much, it's more because maybe there's a story being told and I don't want to interrupt too much. I will make miniature comments.
Other travelers and people will stay in the same room as you. 2 weeks in, they're in Boquete and they're living in this hostel.
Probably I
So
might do
on
that for a
April
lot of
1st,
MrBallen. I will comment,
in
obviously,
Boquete,
once in
they
a while when
want
I
to
hear certain
go on
things.
this fairly significant hike.
So I'm just saying that in case, some videos will be different than others.
Volcano. Up near, I guess, the summit of the
Is that supposed to be
volcano,
picture them?
there was this amazing overlook where if you climbed up to it, you could get a beautiful 360-degree view of the entire area. Froon and Kremers decide they want to go hike up to that overlook. They were experienced hikers, but realistically, I don't think they were taking this hike particularly seriously. It was a hike that was traditionally a guided hike, meaning usually you went and did this with a local who could make sure you didn't leave the path or fall where you didn't know there was a cliff or something. They opt to do this on their own. So they head out and they bring the hostel owner had a dog, and they decide to bring that dog along with them. It was a very friendly dog. So Kremers, Froon, and the dog head off for this hike.
Weird. I don't know why the owner would let them take the dog, but I guess.
With them, in addition to water, and they had their phones, and all the different kind of basic supplies. They had a camera, and so this is important because they take a bunch of pictures as they begin this journey. So that night, the dog returns to the hostel, but the girls aren't with the dog, and so this alerts the owners of the hostel. But they search the area, like I guess the immediate area, for the girls. They can't find them, and they decide we'll just wait until the morning and see if they turn up. The next morning, they don't turn up. Additionally,
I wonder what happened for the dog to come by itself. It didn't bring them along, or what happened?
Very regular text messages from these girls to kind of let them know that everything was okay, and the text messages stopped, and so that alerted the parents as well by the second day after they've gone missing. And so authorities are alerted. Search crews were organized on foot for the first day. So April 2nd, there are search crews all over the place looking for these girls. Can't find anything. The next day, they set up aerial search teams. They're scouring the jungle looking for signs of these girls. No sign of them. The search continues.
But it's just terrible though, because if they're depending on certain areas of the jungle, it's hard to go over that and see anything.
They immediately offer a $30,000 reward for any information about their daughters, which is a ton of money in Panama. It's roughly equivalent to about $500,000 in a developed country. I mean, with 30,000 US dollars in Panama, I mean, you could buy land, you could buy a house, you could start a business. I mean, this is big money. And considering many people, especially in that area, were day laborers that were working for like less than $10 a day, I mean, you would think that type of reward for just information about these girls would incite hundreds of people to just on their own go looking for these girls. And if you consider too that, I mean, this is a small town. I mean, news travels fast. This is the area.
Maybe, but it feels like they're
know the area really well. The idea that with an amazing incentive, the financial incentive, and just the fact that,
but I feel like a small town, I don't know if people can actually convince people to do something like that.
That nothing was turning up. There were no leads coming in. 3 months go by, and there is not a sign of these girls anywhere. They have vanished. There's no leads. Nothing's been found. Obviously at this point, the family and investigators are at this point have pretty much accepted that they're probably deceased at this point. But they're looking for them. They want to know what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while, and it's a good chance they're not alive. But they do want to see if they can at least find out what happened.
5 miles away from where the girls were supposedly hiking, or where they had intended to hike, navigating a jungle is exceptionally difficult. Even with the right equipment, even knowing what you're doing, the travel
a lot of places, obviously, but
slow. Cutting through the growth on the ground, there's animals to contend with. There's even though it's incredibly moist, and there's lots of moisture in a jungle, the water oftentimes can't be drank, so the risk of dehydration is really high. The jungle that they were in was incredibly mountainous, and so in addition to just navigating a jungle, you're dealing with pretty significant elevation change.
Yeah, a lot of climate things affecting things too.
Absolutely treacherous.
environment.
For them to have moved 5 miles through dense jungle it's incredible. That is almost unbelievable. But nonetheless, their backpack is found, 5 miles away. In addition, the woman who found the backpack, she was a local woman, and she said, I'm out in this area a fair amount, and I've not seen this backpack. I saw it today, and I picked it up and reported it. But it just means that the backpack probably had not been sitting there for very long. It had been probably placed there within the past couple of days, let's say, which doesn't really provide that much clarity, but it adds to the kind of intrigue around what actually happened. So the backpack was in great condition, and everything inside the backpack was very neatly kind of placed. It looked like someone
Weird, right?
had very intentionally placed everything in the bag, zipped it up neatly, and put it down by the riverside to be found. It didn't have the look and feel of a backpack belonging to two missing people in the Panamanian jungle that's been missing for the past 3 months.
Yeah, like
it had just been grabbed off
you think it would have been rummaged? Half of the stuff probably would have been missing.
There was, their sunglasses, there was a water bottle.
They would have probably dumped stuff they didn't need at the time. And the way that it sounds like they're saying that the bag had almost everything in it. Still.
Both of their phones were in there. Another really important part of this investigation. So when the initial search was conducted, it was done with a focus on the volcano area, because that's the last place the girls had been, at least as far as everybody understood.
Sorry, just checking to make sure the time.
5 miles away, they had a new area to search, and so they do. They start searching around the area around the backpack, and they quickly find some of the girls' clothing neatly folded on the side of a river, but no sign of the girls.
That is also strange. You think it could be either just thrown around or tattered, but it's neatly folded. That is also strange.
And the backpack were found. They actually discover some of the remains of the girls. That DNA confirms it was them. But it's the state that the remains were found in, and some of the other things that were found in conjunction with these remains that raise a lot of questions. So of the remains that were found, DNA proved that some of them were Kris Kremers and Lisanne Froon.
Okay.
DNA also showed that mixed in with some of the bone fragments and pieces of remains that were found were at least 3 other people's remains. So we're talking about 5 people's remains in the same area.
What?
Also, interestingly, scientists were able to look at the bones, and there were no scratches on the bones. So that's important if you think about it. Because their bones were found all over the place, they had been broken apart, right? Well, if an animal had been responsible, there would have been scratches all over the bones because they would have broken the bones that way. Without those scratches, the only other way it could happen is if they've basically been pulverized, basically broken with blunt force. So obviously something horrible has happened to these 2 girls, but their remains really only show investigators that the women had died. It doesn't show how they died or really anything. And so investigators needed to look at the other evidence to try to get a better sense of what actually happened. And so they look at the phone records, and they can tell that on April 1st, when they started this hike initially, there is a string of distress calls that are sent.
Oh, the record of
an hour of
the calls.
Starting. So whatever happened to these girls happened almost immediately on their hike. None of those calls connect. Over the course of those first 4 days, as they're trying to reach help via their cell phone, nothing's connecting, and then Froon's phone dies. Kremers' phone does not, and they begin, they or she, begin turning it off and then turning it on sporadically to try to get reception. On April 6th, something interesting starts to happen. Somebody was trying to access Kremers' phone. There was multiple failed login attempts, and it got
he's getting into the phone.
More codes. It was just like locked. The phone locked. So somebody was unable to get into the phone. From April 7th to April 10th, there were 77 calls attempted, distress calls attempted. And then on April 11th, the phone died, and that was it. So in addition to the phone, they started looking at the camera. And so when you look at all the pictures they took, the beginning of the camera roll is this wonderful, montage of these 2 girls having this great time.
All the pictures on the record.
As night begins to fall, can tell that their expressions begin to change a little bit. It looks like you could begin to see that maybe something was wrong. Perhaps they're lost. We don't really know.
Oh no,
but
that's terrible.
Then there's no more pictures taken until April 8th. 90 pictures, over 90 pictures are taken between April 8th and April 10th, which is that period of time where all those distress calls were made on Kremers' phone before Kremers' phone finally died. The pictures are very strange. There's a lot of theories about why they took the pictures they did, but in a nutshell, it's a lot.
And there's also the theory
include pictures of the girls.
This makes you theorize that maybe it wasn't even them.
Kremers' head, and it appears to be bleeding. The rest are shots of.
At least that's what I think. I remember a little bit about this story. I think I might have heard that they also theorized it might have not even been any of them. It might have been someone else that did something.
There was one picture that looked like whatever gear they had been kind of lined up on a rock, and someone had taken a picture of it. There were pictures of candy wrappers, and there also was a picture that was like looking down into a ravine that perhaps was a picture of one of the girls down in the ravine. So it's unclear who's taking the pictures. It could be the girls, could be one of the girls, could be a third party, we don't know. And then there's a ton of speculation about one picture in particular. So picture 509, as it's been dubbed, because that was the number on the camera roll, was deleted from the camera. Now, that in and of itself is not particularly strange. It's not crazy to think that these girls might have deleted a picture, right? I mean, maybe they accidentally snapshot something and they deleted it. But it was permanently deleted, right? So if you hit delete on a digital camera, it's deleted. But a professional with the right software could reconstruct that image if they plugged it into a computer.
Yeah, I think I heard of that. That's how sometimes police or people with evidence usually get pictures, because just saying delete on their phone doesn't mean it's actually gone forever.
And wipe it that way. They didn't have access to a computer. So at most they might have hit delete, but it still would have had that kind of archived, almost ghost image that a professional investigator could have reconstructed. But when they went to do that,
this is crazy, because it sounds like he's saying someone had a computer and did this with force.
Managed to professionally wipe one picture. It was the last picture on the camera roll. So the pervading theory here is that these girls got lost and fell to their death. But to me, that's totally unsatisfactory. I believe they were murdered, and I think it's because there's just too many things indicating that.
And also, with this evidence that he's saying and a few other things, it just makes me think, yeah, that's probably what happened. Because
that would be a very
how would the girls have figured out to do something like that in the woods with no computer or even
without even flashlights? How did they do that? And then let's just assume they managed to go the 5 miles. Okay, they fall to their death. Why are their remains, 1, incomplete, and 2, scattered and mixed in with other people's remains?
Bags somewhere else, and the remains are somewhere else. All that stuff.
Why weren't there scratch marks on the bones? I mean, you would think that in order for if they've fallen off this cliff, let's say, in order for their remains to be scattered all over the place and be dismembered, that an animal would have to be involved if there's no foul play involved. And there's no scratch marks on the bones, so an animal couldn't have done it.
Yeah.
So there's
just too much information that causes confusion. But from what I'm getting, I think it instills that it wasn't something normal that finished those people off. Like something that were falling off a cliff or animal attack.
As well. And then the backpack that was found, it just seems like it was kind of staged. But then again, to what end? Why were they giving away the camera and the phone, which kind of led them to thinking probably this is foul play? Why would they have placed the backpack? That doesn't really exonerate anybody. It actually just adds more.
Yeah, it makes it more confusing, because if you really didn't want something to be found as evidence, why wouldn't you have gotten rid of it?
That they simply got lost and fell, to me, seems like the most far-fetched thing out of all the theories. So that's gonna do it, guys.
Yeah, because I mean,
please like and subscribe. I'll be doing these.
Yeah, because that one doesn't make sense to me.
Love it as well.
How would they just fall in, and then why wouldn't their stuff be down there and their bodies? Who would even go to the trouble of moving the bodies if that kind of thing happened?
Follow me on TikTok. That's MrBallen on TikTok.
Who would have even found their bodies out of nowhere?
Let me know what you think.
There's a lot of questions for this story. My belief is Just like MrBallen, I think someone else was involved, maybe other people. Because there's just too much stuff indicating that something affected them that was someone else. They not anything natural like falling or getting attacked by an animal, but more like maybe someone had a hand in something. At least that's what I'm getting out of it too. But anyways, hopefully you guys check out this video from MrBallen on their channel. Check out many others. I'm gonna put a link down below, and I'll put links down below for what else I'm working on in social medias. Hopefully you like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell notification bell so you can get notified about future videos. Speckblocklime telling you guys to have a good day. Take care, and hopefully you guys are good next time. Catch up. See you.